Well, hello there. It's been a while. It's been a while. My name is Umberto Castañeda, and this is the PsychoBerto channel. You may be wondering, why hadn't I posted in a while? Well, last time we talked, I said I was going to be writing, and I did do some writing, but then something else happened. I also got sick. I found out I had thyroid issues. I have thyroid issues. And I got really sick in October, late October. I actually had gotten really sick a year ago specifically. Today is January 28th, and if you don't know, thought everyone should know, it's a special day because it is my birthday. Happy birthday, thank you, thank you. And a year ago, coincidentally, it was also my birthday. But that day, a year ago, I woke up, I was feeling really poorly. Actually, the whole previous night, I was feeling really bad. I thought I was having like a panic attack, and then I was feeling like, man, what is going wrong with me? And I finally decided I needed to go to the hospital, to the ER. And they checked me out. They did a whole bunch of tests, and they couldn't figure out what it was. They thought I was just having anxiety. But I had never felt this bad. And so my birthday was sort of ruined last year. I spent most of my birthday at the hospital. But then, a couple of weeks, I was feeling really poorly for about 2 weeks. Now, in retrospect, later I thought, man, did I have COVID? Is that what happened? But I don't think so. It wasn't like I didn't have any pulmonary symptoms. I didn't have a cough. I never had a fever. I did have stomach symptoms, but who knows? Maybe I did. Maybe I did, but it's kind of impossible to tell right now. And time went by, and I started getting better over time. And then I started actually getting pretty healthy during the lockdown. Exercising, eating right. And then I was feeling pretty good. And then October hit, and October 28th, actually, again, another 28th. That day, I felt really bad again, anxiety, panic. But then it got worse. Like I was having really fast heart rate and stuff. So I had to go to the hospital. And I was pretty scared. I got to be honest. Really scared, actually, because I didn't know what was happening. And I thought I was like healthy. What's going on? And then they checked me out. They did, again, a ton of tests. They gave me a lot of drugs. Nothing seemed to be helping. And finally, they did a test, and it turned out that my thyroid levels were really elevated. And it's something that, it's called hyperthyroidism. And previously, I had been sort of diagnosed with the opposite, hypothyroidism, but not on an ongoing basis. It's like one test that came out one time, and it looked like, oh, maybe I could be hypo. There was some talk that I could have something called Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune thing. And then your little defense cells attack your thyroid. But I was just so puzzled. And so then they said, well, the good news is that if it is that, we can give you some medicine for it. So I started taking this medicine called methimazole. And slowly it started improving. But those first few weeks were brutal. I was in and out of the hospital. I went to the ER, I think, 4 different times. I was in really bad shape and scared, and intermixed with real anxiety because I didn't know why this was happening. And the whole thing with these, so I was eventually diagnosed with Graves' disease, which is a horrible name for a disease, by the way. And also Hashimoto's. Like, I think I might have both, which apparently is kind of rare, but it happens. But Graves was the main thing. And so that bumps your thyroid levels really high. And there's not a lot of data about this. And I went to an endocrinologist, and they were sort of like, well, here, we'll take this medicine. We'll see you in 3 months. But I was having terrible symptoms, and I was really scared. And so I ended up switching to a different hospital, and that went better. So this was in October. Now we're in January 28th. I feel much better. I've been on the meds. It's been stabilizing. Still not perfect. And it sort of won't be, because the way that this thing works is I got to take the meds, and then the meds start helping the levels go down and kind of stabilize over time. But it can recur, like the problems can come back, and then it's never fully cured. There's no cure. There's not a lot of knowledge about this. It's been known for, centuries that thyroid can cause issues, but there's not a solution. Oh, there are some brute force solutions, like you can take the thyroid out, and then you can supplement the hormones that it normally produces. And people do that. but it's, it's got its own risks. It's a full operation. They like take your stuff out. It can harm other things. So that's what I've been dealing with. That and everything else, all the maelstrom all around us. Now, I still did a few episodes with my friend Kurt, things like that, but I honestly hadn't had the energy and in a way the time to do a video. But now I wanted to do a video for a couple of reasons. It's my birthday. I'm celebrating. Woo! Yay. Thank you. Oh, you don't have to sing. Oh, that's sweet. Very nice. You're off key, but no, you're okay. Okay. And I wanted to also talk a little bit about everything that's gone on. More recently anyway, so I don't want to rehash everything. Last year was, man, right? But I actually wanted to talk a little bit at a systemic level, overall, a little more meta than just like the specific things happening. I can mention a few things, like just in the last couple of days, this thing blew up about the stock traders trading GameStop stock and AMC and others. And there's this narrative going around about like, oh, it's the little guys stinging it up to those evil, big, rich stockbrokers in all these firms, the fat cats. And I mean, there is that, it's a group of kids, young people on Reddit that teamed up. But first of all, we don't know the whole story. Like, we don't know who these people are, who's influencing what. Are they all like, first there's this thing of like, oh, it's the poor people finally get. If you live in this country, you're already not like doing that bad. Yes, there are people in actual poverty in this country. I don't want to minimize that. But I mean, I don't know. I grew up in another country. I grew up in Colombia, South America. And there, I mean, the poverty is in your face. Like, it's painful. You walk out and you're like, oh my gosh. Why is that little child walking on the street begging for money? And it's not one child, it's at every intersection. And then you would look on the mountain and it was like covered with little tin shacks and little make shacks just covered in a super dense area. And people had just invaded that because they had nowhere else to go. And it wasn't like a couple of people. These are millions of people. And so, when I think of like, oh, these poor kids, well, they have brokerage accounts. They can organize enough to put enough money down during the pandemic to invest. So, I want to take that with a grain of salt. Now, am I sad that like, these investment firms that normally short stocks and actually make companies go down the tubes through their actions, that they would pay some consequences? No, of course. But at the same time, neither them nor these kids are technically doing anything illegal. Well, maybe they are, but not on the surface of it. It's just that the system has bugs, number one. We operate on this fallacy that like, well, if it's something we established a way back, it must be really good and we should keep it the way it is. As if when things were established in the past, everyone could have predicted every variable in the future. It's like the Constitution. I was like, oh, well, the Constitution's... I mean, that's so long ago. And the world has changed so much. Are there some fundamentals that still apply and should apply? Yeah, absolutely. But this idea that we can't and shouldn't rethink things because someone wrote it down 200, 2,000 years ago. Come on. Now, so Wall Street comes about, and then these people in charge start establishing rules of how you can trade, how you cannot trade. And over time, kids start manipulating the system. And I don't want to talk about the kids right now. I'm talking about in the 80s. In the 80s, like the young Wall Street kids go in and then they figure out ways around the system and they start using the system against itself and they make millions. That happened. And then it keeps going. In the 90s, the same thing happened. The internet bubble was the same kind of thing. And then this whole derivatives trading, what do you think those were kids, like 20-some-year-olds, speculating. And they didn't start rich. Well, some of them might have, but some kid joined the firm and then he speculates, gets $5 million, $10 million. This thing has been happening for a while. It's always like finding bugs in the system. But the bugs rarely get patched. No one fixed really the derivative problem that caused the housing crash. Not really, not at a fundamental level. And right now, what do we think is happening? Oh, those short sellers have learned their lesson. That's never going to happen. No, already like we saw that the kids stock trading were blocked from from Robinhood and whatnot. So my point is this: like, I'm not celebrating what's been happening. Like, oh yeah, stick it, bankrupt these people. It's like that's surface level schadenfreude that people love, and also this idea like we need to stick it to the rich. Look, do I think rich people and wealthy corporations need to pay their fair share of taxes so they can keep the country running? Absolutely. Pretty progressive on that front. But like I'm recording on a freaking Canon camera with a microphone going to some compressors, all these things in software on a computer that's pretty high end, and then transmitting it through the internet. How did all that get built? It got built by humans with incentives for profit. So, we live on a system, and we're so lucky in this country and in most of the Western world. Like, we live in a bubble. So I find it a little disingenuous to be inside the bubble, posting on Facebook from your nice cushy lockdown, saying, yeah, stick it to those rich people. Come on, man. We're all benefiting from the system. Now, the system is unfair, and we need to elect better people to change the rules. So the way that if we want reform, we got to vote for the right people and be active and write to our congressmen and vote for the right measures and things like that. But when you don't want regulations and you don't want taxes and you don't want progressives, well, yeah, you get a lot of loopholes and you get benefits going to already the establishment, the established wealthy. But this idea that just because some group of folks on a Reddit forum were able to stick it to these companies and bankrupt them, yay, we've won. No, all it's caused is chaos. And it's shown the glaring bugs in the system. And it could have some really worse consequences too. I don't know what the fix is. I do think there should be regulations on both sides. I fundamentally don't think that stocks should be something that are open for unbounded speculation, either on the way down or the way up. Because that means, look, right now, GameStop, this is not even about GameStop or AMC or any of those companies anymore. The actual companies are irrelevant. It's just about the battle between two opposite poles. The actual underlying companies still have problems that they need to figure out and pivot, or else they'll still have problems. And by the way, they can't just cash in all their stock and use that money to get out of trouble, because that's not how it works. Anyways, but I don't want to spend this whole thing on that. The reason I'm bringing that one is because it was very recent. But I wanted to talk about this general notion that we have that we somehow expect that we have the answers, or that we know what's happening, or that when we see something that's happening, we can explain it within our existing paradigms and our existing meanings and our existing models. I don't think that's true anymore. I don't know if it was ever true, but I think the human development used to be at a pace where that seemed to apply better. And now we're at a pace of change, in some areas anyways, where it just doesn't work. Look, I could say that for a long time, if you wanted to build a building, just build a house, build a high-rise, there were pretty well-established do's and don'ts. But even that was not a done science. Take, for example, the building. There was a building that got built up with a requisite that instead of the columns being on the corners, they had to be sort of in a diamond pattern, so that there would be room for the existing church that they didn't want to move. And this is a high-rise building. They built it, and it was seemingly stable. And then some student doing a thesis pointed out that actually, with the right wind load, this thing would come toppling down, kill who knows how many people. The architect had to go and, can you imagine? They had to go back and tell everyone, including the insurance companies, the building owners, everyone, hey, we messed up. And they had to figure out a way to fix it. They did it a little surreptitiously, in the nighttime and things like that, but they had to fix it. And that was like a renowned architect with like tons of engineers that probably know what they're doing and all these things. And this isn't that long ago. And that's architecture, building buildings, right? That doesn't, you would think that doesn't change so quickly. But now we're talking about a system that was built when there weren't even computers. Now, not only do we have computers, we have humans organizing, and then we have humans organizing with computer assistants in unprecedented ways. There was never a chance that you could have gotten 2 million people together. Like, hey, meet up at the corner of such and such. We're going to discuss which stock we should buy. How? You would have written letters to everyone and everyone shows up and then you have this big, and they're going to agree with you? No. Now we have that. You can make a post, and if you happen to convince enough, it gets some momentum, and then enough people jump in, and then that snowballs. That's unprecedented. It wasn't designed with that in mind. It also wasn't really designed with these huge piles of billions to short a stock to get the company out of business. That actually wasn't really part of the plan either. But yet we're not reevaluating. We're just like, well, the system. And we're also pretending like we know, oh yeah, that's what this is. Like, I don't know what's the right answer here. What should be allowed, what shouldn't be allowed. But there are people that have spent their life in this, and then I want us to give them the tools to figure out how to patch the system. But unfortunately, like, all we do is like clap for destruction all of a sudden. Like, just a month ago or whatever less, many of us were outraged that some part of our citizenry went to Washington, D.C. and stormed the Capitol building and broke in because they really believed in their hearts of hearts that the election was stolen. And worse than that it was stolen by world-dominating evil, like Satanists, like they really believed that. Many of them believed the whole thing. Most of them at least believed the election stolen part. And they broke in, and we, rightfully so, said, you can't do that. You can't. But their side was going, show them that they should be afraid of the people. But now I'm hearing the same kind of thing. Like, oh yeah, bankrupt those companies. Show them they should be afraid of the little people. It's too much. It's too much. This idea of like that we're not going to have some splash damage from chaos and destruction. I don't buy that. So how do we move forward as a species? Because that's what it's all about. So I've really come to this realization for me that this isn't about me. Like, I like living and I don't like being sick. I don't like being sick on my birthday. But, I'm just this little tiny speck. And we all are, right? But the universe isn't. Not compared to us anyways. Maybe it's a speck compared to the bigger realities we don't know about. But it's not compared to us. And I feel like I play a role in the overall narrative of the universe. Whatever that is. And I will never know what that narrative is. But it doesn't matter. I have a choice. I can either play my role or not. And what is my role? Well, as far as I can tell, my number one priority is to move the ball forward. And I do that by surviving and then helping those that I influence survive. And then by doing that, helping the whole of humanity survive. And not because humanity is right, by the way. So we have no way of knowing. For all we know, humanity is indeed a virus on the planet that if we weren't here, it would actually thrive in better and different ways. We don't know that. We don't get to know that. We don't get to choose. We are what we are. And just like the praying mantis or the lion, like they eat and they devour and stuff. That's what they do. And their role is what they are. And locusts and like swarms of insects that tear down populations, they're not evil. They're just doing what they do. Humans, we have this additional layer to us, which is the self-awareness and the community we have language, we have culture and things like this. And as a result, we can make decisions about behaviors that we deem immoral and destructive. And a lot of the times, they are consistent with the fact that they're self-destructive to us, to humans. Sometimes we look around and we say, well, That's not directly destructive to us right now, but by ruining the planet, eventually it's destructive to us. But let's not kid ourselves. We're still ultimately selfish. We're a selfish species, just like every other species. And that's our role. Our role is to try to survive. But if we take only the short-term view of it, like honestly, all of the history of the universe we know takes, because stars are not self-aware as far as we know, right? Insects just do what they do. We now have both the blessing and the curse that we are self-aware. So we get to step back for a second and go, wait, what should be our role? But if we get stuck in analysis paralysis, our role will be extinction. And if we only plan for the short term to maximize our current gains as sort of a bacteria or a virus would, then our future could also be extinction. Think of like the COVID virus as an organism trying to thrive and live on. Well, in some ways, you could look at it like, well, it's overplaying its hand. It spreads so much among this population, and it does enough damage to where humans go, whoa, the rational ones anyways, we're not going to let you spread as much, and we're going to try to find a cure here. And if we were successful, the COVID virus would not be a successful organism. It's overplayed its hand, but it doesn't have a choice. It's not sitting there debating it. We have more of a choice. It's hard because we are not supercomputers and we don't have the ability to really, humans are terrible at strategy. Long-term past, even a week, let alone decades and hundreds of years. However, that's the advantage and the curse we have. We can plan. We can try to make a decision that something we are doing now is not good in the long term, even if it feels successful in the short term. And I think that's the only thing we got to do. We have to. The ones of us that get it anyways, and it's not going to be the majority. Maybe it's going to be split down the middle, and that's scary enough. And then maybe we try to recruit as many as we can. This isn't about Democrat, Republican. There's other countries don't even have those parties, but the concept is similar. Concept of stability and what we know versus like progressiveness, right? But progressiveness has to also be strategic and long-term. So we have to think about this, the stock market, the climate, our politics. What is going to help us survive and thrive in the long term? Why? Because we're humans. That's our part. That's the role we have to play. We have to try to keep in the game as long as we can, as long as we can. And if we're wrong, well, that's too bad. We didn't know. Like that was the thing given to us. Maybe if we could scientifically prove to ourselves that our extinction would somehow benefit the universe overall, but try to make a suicide case to a whole species. Come on now. Plus, I just don't think that's actually possible because there can't be a finite reason for everything. We're never going to find the reason for the universe. Or let me put it this way. Even if we found out, it turns out the universe is a simulation being run by a alien college student in some other dimension. That's only the first question. Now I have a whole equal set of infinite questions that open up. We're never going to find the reason. There is no, I fundamentally believe that final reasons are incompatible with existence. Like if there was nothing at all, nothing, no realities, nothing, there's no reason because there's no one to have conversations about reasons or anything. But as soon as you have something, either there are creatures like us that can talk about why there is something or there aren't. If there aren't, then it doesn't matter. There's no reason. If there are, there is no reason. It was a God. God created. Okay, so what's God? Why is God? It's like, well, you don't understand because, well, I have the question. The question is still there. And it won't be satisfied. It can't. Because no matter what it was, no matter what the answer was, like it's this beautiful thing. No, it's mathematics itself dictates that there should be. Why? Why nothing? Why something? We know this. These questions, it's not just that we haven't gone to the answer. They're not solvable. We have to stop this fallacy that everything we can come up with in our heads is solvable. It's not. It's not. Just like there are so many things we could come up with in our head that are physically impossible. There are not there's no guarantee that the questions we come up with in our head are solvable. But so if we put that aside and there's no solution, then what we're left with is like, look, we are humans. We are part of this universe. The bent of the universe, that little thrust that we're in, is like, try to survive. So yeah, I'm with Elon Musk. Let's see if we can get to other planets. But I mean, we have this one. This one seems to have a lot of resources that we would want and need. Let's keep it around. Let's think long term, and let's think of each other long term. Sure, I can tear down this one company and have it go bankrupt, but what's the long term plan? All right, off my soapbox. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to you if it's also your birthday or if it's been your birthday in the last few days. And take care of yourselves.